This is Anthony and Jake, and we're going to show you how to replace a slave cylinder in a 96 F250. What you need is your new slave cylinder. I just got one at AutoZone. I don't know if it's the greatest thing or not. I don't know what the heck this little heat bag is. There wasn't one on the original, so I'm not going to use it. I've got a spare tin can that the slave cylinder can fit inside of. Get back to that in a minute. Basically, if you're looking at this slave cylinder of the truck, it clips onto the housing of the transmission. And this one comes with this cool little cap. You get into place and you snip these little pieces of plastic off, and it releases the slave cylinder piston, and it comes out of the top of this whole assembly. It's really easy to pop off. In that same bag come a couple of pieces. One cotter pin, a holding pin, and a new O-ring. And that's to hook the new fluid. That's to hook the old fluid line in to the new slave cylinder. You can see right there. Now, what I did is I got the old retaining pin out, so you can see a hole through there, and I have it ready. Now, the problem is that I've read about with all these slave cylinder installations is getting the air out. And so what I did is I filled this can up about, a third of the way with brake fluid, and these things come dry. What I do is I compress this in with my hand and remove this cap, and that lets the piston go all the way out. It'll automatically come all the way out. Then I inundate the bottom part in the fluid, and I pump this thing back and forth. Now, even that won't get all the air out, but it will get most of the air out, and it'll get most of this chamber full of fluid. Then I pull it out of the can. And now this little cap comes off. It's just a temporary cap until you get the new fluid line connected, but it works to help us here. So I pull it out and I hold it up, and then you'll just watch as air will just come out because of gravity. The air wants to rise. And then as I'm holding it up, I push on the piston just enough so some fluid starts coming out of the top there. Then I hold it in place, put it back in the fluid, and then push the piston the rest of the way down, reattach these retainers here, all while it's under the fluid. Then I lift it out slowly so that there's still a little bit of fluid in the end piece, and put that cap back on. Now it's ready to install underneath the vehicle. So this next part's very important. Make sure that everything's ready so that when you pull that other line off, you have the new one ready to put on. Now, here's your fill reservoir for the slave cylinder. Make sure it's topped off and full of fluid, because when you take that line off here, if the lid's on, that fluid won't flow. You want it to flow. I know it sounds kind of messy, but you want it to flow. That way you get the least amount of air in the system. So I make sure you top the bad boy off, and then you go under the vehicle. I've got a GoCam and could do this so that you could watch it happen live, but I really don't want to get brake fluid all over everything. That stuff is real intrusive and just gets in everything, and you never get it quite off. So anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. Well, 5 minutes later, and it worked perfectly. The fluid kept coming, which was great. I held it top end up. That's how much fluid I lost, so that's still above the fill line. So I'm gonna put this little rubber guy in there. Make sure there's no dust on it. This goes in the filling reservoir. I'm really excited about this. I've seen some posts that say, It's not that hard of an installation, but you got to let it sit overnight to let all the air bleed out of the system. And it just, thought there had to be another way to do this. So hopefully this works. I'm going to go in there real quick and stick this slave cylinder back in, and then I'm going to spill my hard cider. Started making my own hard cider a couple months ago, my wife, and damn, it's good. Anyway, let's clean this stuff up. I hate messes. I'm gonna go stick that slave cylinder on into there. I'll be right back. All right. Pardon the sunflower seeds, but let's give it a try. Holy moly. Hasn't felt this way ever. Holy moly, that works great. All right, guys, so there's my little fix. Jake, it worked. Yeah, give me a high five.